Okay, so just trying not to have too much background noise here, but welcome to the stream. I'm going to teach a little bit about JavaScript here. I have this file here, it's called variables.js. So if you're making JavaScript, if you're trying to make JavaScript programs, you have to make a file in a text editor or a IDE. An IDE such as VS Code. This is called, I can comment this, VS Code. You look that up on Google, what VS Code is. Try to get that installed. If you're using Mac, you'll probably look into Homebrew. Homebrew is a big fat package manager. It's called the package manager for Mac. And so that's where you're going to get your Homebrew cask. So yeah, you need something like VS Code. Maybe you could use WebStorm or Atom. You could use Scratch. But yeah, so here we go. So I'm going to cover a little bit about variables here. Variables in JavaScript, you can call it var. That's a keyword, special word. Other than, so I can't use the word var out here. I can't use that word. It's going to give me a big fat error. If I use another word like dog, you see, it's not going to give me as much of a hard time because dog is not a special JavaScript keyword. If I use var, it's going to give me a real hard time. If I use the word let, it's actually not giving me as hard of a time. But let, spoiler alert, is another keyword. Okay, we could set that to a number. Our variables we can set to strings. These are strings. These are numbers, right? These are numbers. Strings, numbers, and an array is technically not, I don't think, a primitive data type. But we'll be dealing a lot with arrays. Boolean. Boolean is a data type, right? So let's say I made let b equals true, right? Boolean b. And I can console.log boolean b, right? Console.log boolean, it's going to say true, right? Console.log it. And I got to turn off my phone. The way you run a file is and this is going to give me an error. I'm going to delete that. Save it, run it. Node, you have to type in node, right? You should have npm and node. This is the thing that's used to run your JavaScript. So you just type in node and you got to type your file name. You should be in the root of the stuff you're working on. Node variable, tab complete, enter. Evaluates to true. Hopefully you can see that pretty well. See if I can make this a little bit bigger. Trying to make this bigger here. That is bigger, okay. Yeah, so that evaluated to true, right? So because we got booleans, we got another thing called string in JavaScript, right? Let's say I have the number 3, right? 3 is a number, but we can force it into a string here. We'll run this again. See that? Let's say I didn't have string there. Let's say I just did 3. The color should change here a little bit. Yellow. It's a hint that this is a number. This is a string. Now let's say I had let. Let's say I did let b again. Let b equals cat. And you see there's big fat error because let keyword, when we're inside a scope here, the same scope, it's going to give us a hard time. So that's why var is special. Var, let's see if I highlight it, if it'll tell me something. We'll get rid of this. I tried highlighting var to see if it'll tell me some information about the var keyword, but it's not going to. But yeah, var is very nice. It's probably my favorite variable in all programming. Variable type. You can just keep using it over and over and over again. And as long as you know what you're doing, as long as the logic of your program is flowing nicely, you're going to get away with it. And my I'm bugging out right now because my laptop has this. My camera light is on my laptop, and I just don't know if that's normal. It's one of those things where like maybe it does that normally, and I just don't even realize it. And another interesting keyword in JavaScript is const. That's the other big one. Const z equals, let's say it equals an empty array, right? Well, let's just give it an object in the array. Mouse, right? Const z is this. Let's see what happens if we just say z. Z equals house. Let's see what happens if we try to print z here. Z is supposed to be const. It's supposed to be like const is supposed to stay constant. It's supposed to be like you're not supposed to like really change it much when you're inside the same scope. Let's see what happens if we print out this z variable. Yeah, it gives us an error, right? It doesn't like it. Assignment to constant variable. So it's not going to like that. So, but what if we had done b? Right, because we have b here. B, we're using the let keyword. Let's see what happens if we try to print b. Oops, not v, b. What am I doing today? I think I need to go to bed. And let's try to run this. So the b word works. It prints it out right here. So let, you can mess around with it when you're in the same scope. The const, again, you can't do it. Z, we try to print z here. Try to run it again, it's going to give us an error. Right? However, let's make a function here. Let's call it function foo, right? Give it a closure. And let's say const z equals 9. And let's just console.log const z. And then let's down here, let's call the function. We just declared a function here. Function foo. Declared it nicely here. Function is another keyword of JavaScript. Can't use the word function normally. You can only use function when you're actually using it as a function because it's a keyword, it's a reserved word in the JavaScript language. And let's call the foo word, and remember, we have const z up here, and we're also using const z down here. And let's see what happens when we run this. See, it prints out the word 9. So now we can use the word const z again. We can do this again. And it's because we scurried off into a different scope. We went off into a function. So now z is fair game. And when we're inside this function here called foo, if I try to mess with z again, pretty sure it's going to throw me an error again. Again, it throws us an error, right? So yeah, again, var, let, and const. Var, you can like do var, you can do like whatever you want. Var is very flexible. Let more flexible, or let is more flexible than const, but let is a little less flexible. And const only mess with const in different scopes, right? So when we went into our function scope, we were able to mess around with the const keyword, or we were able to mess around with the const variable. So that's variables. I don't know about you, but when I go over, when I learn JavaScript, generally, I think a lot of times people try to go over variables. People try to go over variables right off the bat, and I say, why not? We covered variables here. We quickly covered function, the concept of keyword, and the console.log, and that's how we get our stuff down here in our terminal. There's another way to use the terminal. You don't necessarily have to use console.log. There's a thing, JavaScript you can REPL, right? So I think if I type in node here, it's going to give us a REPL. So here we can do like JavaScript stuff. We can type in our console. And I just broke my console. Good job. I wonder what I just did. I just pressed a bunch of buttons. I just messed it all up. Yeah, I wonder if I type in exit, it'll do something. No? Control C. There you go, that works. But yeah, you can do a REPL with like node here, and I could do the same stuff I was just doing, right? So let A equals dog, right? Yeah, this looks similar to like your like Firefox console. Wonder what happens if I console.log this. Oh, nice. It's actually kind of helping me out here a little bit. I'm not sure what's going to happen here, honestly. Okay, yeah. So yeah, if you're in your terminal and you want to do some JavaScript, just type in the word node and you're going to get your REPL here. I'm going to quit that. I should just clear this. So I went over quickly function here, but I mean, you could always, of course, add parameters to a function. So let's give it a couple parameters. I'm going to show a concept called default parameter. Okay, that's a default parameter. So now I can call this function foo with simply the word, yeah, I'll just give it something. Let's just use the word dog. I'm very creative. And so now if I call this function, it should, I think it should print the word died. Let's actually use our variable we passed it. Let's see if this will print dog. I might as well comment this out. I'm not using it. We'll run this again. Node. There you go. You see it there. Console dot the word dog. That's because we had our function called foo. We gave it a parameter down here, dog. It picked this up, printed out our parameter we gave it, and we had a default parameter here. And we could really do a lot of stuff with that default parameter if we wanted to. I'll show you what happens if I pass in this, right? Pretty sure this will throw me an error. Actually, no, I was wrong. Okay. So I could throw in other parameters here. I'm not sure what it's going to do, really. Let's just run this again. Yeah, well, anyway, that's a side issue, but... So our default parameter here, like, what we can do is we can do something like memo.push A, right? We can push A, right? and then we can console.log memo. We gave it a default parameter of an array, and one array function is push. Push, what that does is it adds elements into the array from the first index, building out towards building outward. So you could think of it as like, let's say I had an array of elements here, 5, 7, 8, 9. Let's say I had an array of 5, 7, 8, 9, and let's say I wanted to add the number 0 to it. If I were to use the memo.push, if I added 0 to this, the push method will add it to the end. This is the end of the array. And might as well just print this out. Okay. It looks like an array, right? Default parameter, we didn't even have to give an array down here. I think a language like Java, I don't think Java has default parameters. So JavaScript and like Python are pretty cool because they allow that. Unshift is like the opposite of push. Unshift adds elements to the beginning of an array. So if I had this array again, right, and I wanted to add 0 to it, if I used unshift, it would add 0 over here. It would be like this, right? So let's do something like memo.unshift. So I think the array, I expect this to look like this. This is going to be an array of like, I hope I'm right? I think that's how it will look. Let's print that out. There you go, house and dog. Because it unshifted, it kept pushing things out towards the left. Unshifting. Arrays are pretty cool, you know, you can't really do any computing without arrays. Very powerful thing. So this is a function here. Here's another cool way of writing functions. And that's more like arrow functions, right? So I'll go over that quick. I might as well just delete this. So we can use const, or we can use var, we can use let. So I could use any one of these that I want. But I'm going to use var. Let me make a var variable called r. Let's make it equal to a function. This is going to be a function here, right? Similar idea as before. Let's give it a value, some basic parameter. And let's say a dot to upper. I can't see, it's dark in here. Let's see if I could get away with this on one line. Yeah, I want to add a return statement though. So because of that, I have to put that in brackets. Let's put that in brackets. Cool beans. Clean this up a little. So this is another way of writing a function here. This is your parameter. And the function, since it has a return statement, it's going to be stored in this variable here. Yeah, so let's see what happens if we call this function. I'm going to log it out. Let's give it a string in its arguments here. We're going to do 2 uppercase, right? So we have the word yellow. And let's see if it goes to uppercase. Let me think about this if I'm doing this right. I think this makes sense. Okay. And our console. Yellow is uppercase. Look at that. I took the word yellow and it made it uppercase. Jumping around a lot here. Really messing this up. I'm not good at streaming, I guess. There it is, yellow is uppercase. And we did it in a different syntax than we had before. I should just copy this down. I think I have to do, I think I do Shift Alt down, right? Copy down, right? Yeah, I'm trying to bring back what I had before. Might as well just copy this. Yeah, I'll just copy it. Because before we had a different syntax for a function. I'm just going all the way back, man. All the way back. Whoa. That's our old syntax for a function. This is also a function, right? Almost looks the same. Not quite. We gave this one a return statement. We didn't have to, but we did. So that's functions in JavaScript. Very loose language, you know what I mean? Like, we're not indenting in any particular way. We can put things up on one line if we want to. Yeah, you can do all kinds of things up on one line. I could show like an if statement. Yeah, I might as well just show an if statement. So I could do like if. Let's do this one. Yeah, let's do an operator. Okay. If type of R equals. I think this is going to be a string, right? It returns a string. I mean, this is a function, right? But it returns a string. Let's see what happens here. Let's print working. Let's see what type of R is. Let's run this. No, it's not a string. So this is a function, right? Okay, right, working. Okay, so this is an R. The return value. So that's interesting. That's good to know. So let's, even though it returns something, right? But we got this function up here, and I think this will be a little bit more cooperative for what we want to do. Right? Make a new variable down here. Foo. What am I doing here? I just can't think straight right now. Okay. Item. So now our function foo should return a little array with 2 elements in it. And the return will be stored in this thing called store. And let's check the type of. And I think this should be object, right? I got it wrong. I thought this returns object of an array. Now it's really testing my patience. I think maybe it's just lowercase object. Yeah, that's right. So this is a type of, this variable stores an object. Because this function here, foo, returns memo, which is an array, and in JavaScript world, arrays are objects. They have a bunch of methods chained to them that only objects will have. Cool beans. Yeah, these IDEs are powerful, so if I had like the word memo here, let's do memo again, and I do dot, it's going to tell us everything that it can do, right? Find index, these are all methods for arrays. I do want to get into OOP, also known as object-oriented programming. Thinking, do I make a new file for that? Just don't really want to, but yeah. Let's do .java OOP.js. Didn't add it up here. I didn't make one. Where is it? I just cannot really see good right now. Just like falling asleep. OOP, you could also call that object-oriented programming. Oriented programming. Object-oriented programming, OOP. There's a way of making nice looking notes in JavaScript. It's called JS docs, right? Yeah, that's how you do it. That's how you make nice looking commented out stuff. I could do it that way if I wanted to. Again, the way you do that is this. If I do this right, there you go. / asterisk asterisk, and it's going to give you this nice little format here. Cool beans. Uh-oh. So you could just do make a basic object with something like this. Right, that's an object. And I can make the object very explicit here. I could give it a key of 0, right? Zero is the first element, or 0. These are key value pairs. That's important, right? Objects have key value pairs. Key is on the left. Value on the right. And our key value pairs here are 0 and first. Let's log out some information. Yeah, let's just do object.keys, right? Object.keys of object. We have this variable up here, right, called object. If you highlight this, it says returns the names of the enumerable string properties and methods of an object. I forgot for a second how I save everything. Control KS. Okay. Yeah, let's run this. Oops. I just fucked up. Press the wrong button. I gotta do node. Zero, right? Zero is one of the keys of our object here. Object.values is like the opposite. It's going to give us first. First. I just logged out the values of this object. Another way I could access this first string here is let's call the key first. There we go. Object at this key 0. Let's say this key was called and let's see what I'm honestly not sure if this is gonna work, honestly. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, that works. First prints out. So here we just made the key an actual string. Got first. You can do an actual, like, more like a property called first, right? Let's see what happens if we do this. Yep, that works. You can call the key value pair with a dot here also. That works as well. This might be confusing a little bit. Give it A instead. Show how that works. First, logged out again. And so I think a more enhanced conception of objects and classes is if we actually use the word class, right? Let's call it YouTube. So now we're making a class. We're calling our class YouTube. Class YouTube, right? And let's give it some key value pairs. I think that's how I want to do it. Yeah, we'll do it this way. 0 at 0 we'll have video. Does this work? Doesn't like this. So let's make a constructor instead. Can we do this? What would that do? Generally not how you do it. What would happen if I did that? Equals a new instance of this, right? And it has a constructor, right? So let's use that constructor. Let's print it out. Let's see what happens here. There you go. We got our class YouTube, the key value pair of 0 in video, and we used the constructor method to make our first key value pair. And inside a class, you can even put an object or a function in here. Or we'll just call this one do stuff. Let's say, what happens if we brought in our property, right? Do stuff, I guess, let's manipulate that string video. To uppercase. See what happens if we do this. So we made a new function inside our YouTube class, right? It's all in the same scope here. Turn that. I don't know why. Oh, I have to add that other parentheses to it. See what happens if we print this one out. Look at that, we got our word to uppercase again. So our word went from lowercase to uppercase by using a function inside its own class. What would happen if I deleted this keyword? Is it going to give me an error immediately? Return this keyword refers to this class, whatever instance you're dealing with here. So that's pretty interesting. That's classes, you know. You don't have to have a comma here. You don't need to do that. That's all you need to do once you're inside class. I like object-oriented programming. I like the things that it's capable of doing. I could have sworn you can add field values in the class. I think I just got a little tripped up on the syntax of that. I don't know. Yeah, I thought I could have done this like let's say 1 2 1 3. Yeah, you can't just make field instance things, I guess, or key values up here. Don't think you can really do that. You got to use your constructor to do that. But I think you can make a function down here which would be like add key, and here I guess we could do make a new property field, right? This. Why do I get this? Why is it suggesting that? It's giving a an error here. Yeah, I thought I might have been able to get away with this without using brackets. So if we gave this brackets, so we can make a function that just adds a new property to this class, our class called YouTube, right? Console.log a, right? Let's do a dot, let's call that function that we made a dot add key, and then what we'll do is we'll log out our object again. Let's see if it added the key to it. Yeah, that works. So we had our first key value pair up here, and that's here. Then we made a new function. We did that special string manipulation there. Then we made this function called add key, and we just created a new key value pair. Name, try. So that works. Definitely you could add. There's this concept in programming called like getters and setters, like get this, get that, set this, set that. Get 0. Maybe we could just like return. I'll write it the old-fashioned way. Return this. It's 0. So this could be like a getter, right? And it's going to return one of our key value pairs. Let's try to call that. See what happens here. Video. So our getter works because 0 is video. Right, our actual key was not particularly... Okay, so 2 uppercase does not... It only manipulates it for whoever needs it. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, this is a very quick like rundown of classes, right? Object-oriented programming, using classes, constructors, methods to help you encapsulate and do other things. Another thing to do with JavaScript is things pertaining to like automation. I like to use the word automation, but I'm talking about loops, just conditionals, which are very similar. They're part and parcel with looping, and looping is important because it is kind of automation, right? It's doing things in your program without you just tediously making it do certain things. So yeah, one of the big loops is for loop. Maybe I have a function already, a thing about loops here. I don't have a file called loops yet, not really. I guess I'll just make one, right? We'll use that. Okay. So for is another keyword in JavaScript. For var a of object. Set up a setup here. There's no such thing as object yet, right? It thinks object is string. Oh, it's thinking about my other file. Huh. Let's say computer, mouse, keyboard, screen. For var a of object, so for every time we go through here. We're going to treat each element as it is, as an element. Console.log A should print out computer, mouse, keyboard, screen. Save it and run it. Didn't work. Am I in the right file? Oh my god, I'm always typing in the wrong command. I'm so careless today. Gotta do node. Can't assume anything. Okay, so printed out computer, mouse, keyboard, screen. That's because we did a loop, right? Only one time I said console.log, but it console.logged 4 things because we're looping. We went into this array at each of these, everything in this object, we printed out the element. Now what if we did the word in? Because there's a couple different ways to use our for loop. We can use the word of or in. So for var a in object, I'm going to show you what happens if we try to print this. We get 0, 1, 2, 3. Because when we use the in keyword, before we used of, maybe you didn't notice, but we used of before. But now we use the word in. So now it's going to say for every number, for every index in here. And indexes in computing start at 0. This is the 0 index. 0, 1, 2, 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. Right? So for each index in this array, it printed out the index, but I don't want to do that. I want to go back to printing out all of these nice strings I made. So what we'll have to do is we'll do a something to do with a, right? Let's try that. Object at, with the brackets, at a. At 0, at 1, at 2, at 3. Print that out. And we're back to printing our strings again. Computer, mouse, keyboard, screen. And you might have seen this in other programming languages or just from just knowing programming and how it looks. But you can write this a long way, like var a equals 0. This is classic, right? A is less than object dot length. It didn't help me out there, did it? A plus plus. Syntax error there. Run that. Same thing. So all I did was I changed the syntax up here. This is the long way of writing all this. This is the long way of writing this. And we'll comment this down. Yeah, we'll comment this out. Why not? So back to this, right? It's the same thing. Just a different syntax. We got this syntax. You could use this syntax, or you could use this syntax. Does the same thing. One is shorthand, the other way is the long way. But man, there's so many things you could do with arrays here. Let's do yeah, what if I do, yeah, let's see if I reverse it in place I shouldn't really have deleted that before. Well, I'll just write it out again. So for var b in of, let's use of, why not? Now I forget, is there a reverse? Is there a reverse function in JavaScript? It does, yeah, we do have a reverse. Maybe this is going to print it all out the opposite way. I mean, what's going to happen if I print this? I should put a line between them, but yeah, I should just put a line between here. Let's put a line. Let's put a break between the two. I have to do this, right? No, I have to put in quotes. Yeah, let's run this again. Computer, mouse, keyboard, screen. And then we went backwards. Screen, keyboard, mouse, computer. So we used the reverse method. We just reverse the array. And I'm pretty sure it does it. I thought it did it permanently. I thought it permanently reversed it. Console.log object. Let's see if it's permanently reversed. Let's put a space there again. \n. Save it and run it. How is that looking? Screen, keyboard, mouse. Okay, yeah. It did reverse it. So yeah, when you use the reverse, I can't bring up the write up again. It says it reverses the object in place, or as maybe more consequentially, it really does manipulate that array. It swaps the indexes back around. That's how you reverse a list. If you're curious. If you're so curious about how you reverse a list. And what if we have this nice array that got reversed. What if we want to copy the array? So let's say we want to make another copy of this array. So what if I did var copy of equals, let's say object. We'll do the spread operator, right? Spread is a cool way to just copy over an object. We'll console.log that. Copy that. Console.log copy of. Let's put our line break in there. I'm getting addicted to this line break stuff. So I did the spread operator, and that was I guess I forgot a little bit what exactly the spread operator did, but the spread operator took out the elements in the array and just kind of put it out in front of us. It is very much like a copy of it. Not quite, though. There is, of course, another way to do this. And that's one of my favorite functions. And that's called map. Say if we did that. We just use we use this map function. Arrow. I'm going to map it over. And now we'll print this. I could have sworn it was going to give us, it was going to look like a little different. Screen, keyboard, mouse. I thought when I printed map it was going to look like this. But it's not quite cooperating. Check my phone here. Object.map var copy of. What would happen if I put this in brackets here? Square brackets. Doesn't really make a difference. So yeah, you got object.map, you can use your spread operator. And I'll show you more long-winded way of copying over an array, and we'll use maybe what might look a little familiar, which was that pushing action, right? Make another loop. Copy this down, because we're doing almost the same thing again. And we're going to do new r.push. .push b, and we'll console.log new r. I figured out why I wasn't doing exactly what I was thinking of in mind. Might be have something to do with this plus sign here. Some sort of string concatenation. Let's print that out. New r.push, yep. I'm getting sick of seeing that. This is very long-winded stuff. Okay, that's another way to copy over an array, which is where you would make a new array, empty array, and then you're going to go ahead and just push, do that push thing again. Let's do that spread operator thing again. How's that going to look? Should look more of like what I was thinking in my head. Yeah, there you go. There's your copy. We'll do that map again, right? Map. Item. Could use any word. You don't have to use the word item. You could use like the letter A or E. And now it's not. Okay. I'm seeing things again. And again, a copy, right? Map makes a copy. That spread operator makes a copy. This makes a copy. I mean, that's a lot to do about arrays. I could show the nice little find. Let's comment this out. Why not? I'm really not a big fan of commenting things out, but I'll do it. I'm more of like a Git person, you know. Just put things up on a different branch, and then that's how you mess around with stuff. Let's store another thing in a variable. Var, let's say result equals another new method here. Going to go through this again, this object array. So this should store this string here. console.log res resect. What does it mean to me? I'm using this console a lot, or this terminal a lot. Mouse, because we use this find. It looks aesthetically, it looks similar to that map thing we were using. If I highlight that, it's not helping me out today. When in doubt, upgrade VS Code, right? Object.find. There's so many different little array methods you can use. Filter is a famous one. Filter is a little different than find, because find, what did we get here, right? We got this string here, but filter will actually return a little array. Yeah, so let's just show what that looks like. Yeah, you see, it put mouse inside a new array. Excuse me. Before we just had a string. Find and filter. Find and filter, aesthetically they look similar, and they do basically the similar thing. Results a little bit different. One returns an array and the other one returns just a string. I was just thinking of something pretty cool and I just forgot. But yeah, filter is pretty cool. Oh man, I was just thinking, oh yeah, filter. I wanted to check if I, yeah, if you're, okay, so if we're checking strings here, item dot, yeah, it's not going to help me out here, not much. Item dot find. Yeah, maybe this is a good idea here. For each element in the array. Oh, that's not what I was thinking. RE. Let's see if it returns this screen. The screen contains a substring, RE. And I think this is going to return screen. Pretty sure. No, that didn't work. Why is that? Let me read the error here. I thought it would work. Item.find is not a function. I thought it was a function. Item dot, I was thinking of this other one. Item dot place. What will that do, man? Yeah, this is not gonna do anything, right? It did work. Didn't really do much of anything, but yeah, it really didn't do anything. I would have to print out object. Let's see if this manipulated object. No, it didn't manipulate it. Map. It's gonna have some empty stuff going on here. Should have some empty items in that. I'm gonna maybe use flat here. Ah, there you go, okay. So here, that's interesting. So I did object.map, so I went in there to try to create a new array. And every time it found a substring of RE, it replaced it with the letter X. Other than that, it just kept going along its business. So we had computer come back normal, mouse came back normal, keyboard came back normal. Then this did not come back normal. Yeah, just trying to show, many different little things you could pick up on as we use, arrays and functions and classes. I am drawing a blank because there's so many like cool little kind of things we can do here. We can make like an array of objects. That's an important concept because if you get into JavaScript, any class, any bootcamp, they're going to jump into these objects like second or third week, and they're going to want you to know how to make an array of objects and or use an array of objects. You have to know how to access the key value pairs of an object. If it's an object inside of an object or if it's an object in an array, you're going to have to just get comfortable doing all that stuff. So let's just do object here. Maybe this will work. Internet of Things, right? Yeah, this is not very cooperative at all, is it? Does this have to be put in a... What if I put this in a closure here? No, that doesn't make a difference. Does not make a difference at all. I'm trying to make an array of objects here, and I think I have to go a little bit farther than that. Why does it not like this? What will that do? I'm not even sure what that will do. Undefined, undefined, undefined. Item at 0 will equal that. Item equals that. It doesn't do anything. Does this do anything? Maybe. Yeah, it's doing undefined. It's not liking the way of mapping it over like that. I just have to return it. But that's the thing though, I have to return it, right? That would make way more sense. I have to return object, right? I think that makes more sense. Will this work? I think aesthetically it looks silly. This looks more legit. So now we have an array of objects. Item, item. That's not cool though, because it's not good to have an object with all kinds of keys of the same. I can't believe it even let me get away with that. This will make more sense. Yeah, that does make more sense. Okay, now our keys look like that, right? So we took our array up here and we made an array of objects where each object had a key that was very similar to this stuff here. So yeah, that's how you can convert like an array to an array of objects. I can also show a cool one where we do Do console.log again. This is a cool one. Where we do this. Now let's look at that. Show how that looks. We use our ... thing. Looks familiar. Spread operator. So we take this array here, and then we put it into a object, just in a very automated JavaScript way. And it gave us default keys starting at 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, and the values are the values of this array.